Yes, friends, thanks for joining in. Yes, I know the temperature is still very, very hot, but yeah, we have to keep pushing. And I want to take you through what the president of the National Inter-Platform, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, he came out just a few minutes ago and he said something about what's going on. You all saw what happened yesterday at the United Nations Human Rights Offices, that is in Kololo. That is the president, and his team, Joel Senyonyi, the spokesperson, Jole Mugisha, Deputy President, Western Uganda, Honorable Lina Zedriga, Northern Uganda, Deputy President, and then our General Secretary, David Lewis-Bongwe, and of course, very many others accompanied him to, of course, deliver a petition about the ongoings, the abductions, murder, kidnap, and of course, our missing brothers and the sisters. But you saw what happened. Military commanded by this guy Namanya Napoleon, they robbed our comrades, beat them up, made all sorts of atrocities to the journalists and our other leaders. So the president today came out and said, this is Lieutenant Colonel Namanya Napoleon Chabi Hende. Their names are very hard. Is the director operations military police and formerly from SFC. He used to head Museveni's inner security circle. He was named in the shooting in the Kasubi Tombs on the 16th March 2010, which saw 3 people dead and 5 injured. He commanded the military interception on us in Busega on 27th December 2020 as we rushed Ashraf Kasirye to hospital after he was shot on the head during our campaign in Masaka in Busega, as we pleaded to be allowed to rush Ashraf to hospital. Napoleon and his men driving a military police truck ran over our comrade Frank Senteza and killed him. Some of our comrades were brutally beaten and are still nursing wounds. He commanded the military raid on my campaign team in Kalangala Island on the 30th December 2020, an ambush which saw over 100 of our comrades arrested and tortured. Most of them are still languishing in Chitalia prison. Yesterday, the same man, Namanya, commanded the group soldiers who beat up and badly injured journalists and elected leaders, and also smashed and vandalized their vehicles at the United Nations Human Rights Office when we had gone to deliver a petition against the ongoing human rights violations in Uganda. Namanya personally hit NTV's John Cliff Wamala on the head, causing deep wound. Today, when the military paraded the soldiers that they claim to have beaten journalists, I did not see Namanya. This should teach everyone that in Uganda today, some people commit crimes while others pay for their crimes. That was the statement from Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, the strategist of the People Movement, and of course, the president-elect, though Museveni flipped the script. But of course, that is still another episode that is, soon coming to an end. That has been the statement. You guys have witnessed what happened today. Muhoz came out apologizing. They paraded, funny guys whom we actually don't know that they are the ones who beat up journalists yesterday. You saw their comedy today, but of course that was just for pictorial purposes. It was not something real. They just wanted to take pictures, they just wanted to show you that they care, but we know the reality on ground. Very many atrocities have been committed. Our brothers and sisters have been murdered, they have been killed. Yasini Kama was murdered. Sweet Pepsi was murdered. Lisa Nabukenya was murdered. Danny Chene was murdered. Very many of our comrades, but none of these goons has never been brought to book. So that was just for ceremonial purposes. That wasn't real. They just wanted to take pictures and of course make news out of it. Because if it was for genuine reasons, then they would have brought this goon Namanya. You've had all the operations he has been involved in. Actually, it's the guy who commanded the raid on our president's team in Kalangala on the 30th. You've heard from the president saying it loud. That is the guy. So this is not going to come to an end unless we do what's right and what is supposed to be done. Actually, on the same issue, Voice of America came out on with a statement. That is yesterday when the president had just filed this petition at the United Nations. Voice of America is saying that Uganda's opposition National Inter-Platform Party has petitioned the UN Human Rights Office over alleged human rights violations and state-inspired abductions. Relatives say their loved ones remain missing after they disappeared in the lead up to January's contested election. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, who was re-elected to a 63rd term, has called the abduction reports false and claims only terrorists were arrested. The National Inter-Platform Party headquarters was filled Wednesday with the relatives of people who have been reported missing before, during, and after the January elections. Crying mothers and former abducted young men shared their stories. Ayebale Halima, mother of 3-week-old infant and another child, described how on January 24th, 7 police officers came to her home and arrested her at gunpoint. She said she was then taken to police headquarters in Inaguru, where she was threatened and questioned about the whereabouts of her husband, Kenneth Mukasa Seguya. Ayebale said she was pregnant when police officers questioned her. Once they were done, she said they told her to go home, but warned that if they failed to find her husband, they would arrest her instead. She said 3 days later, her husband called and told her he had been arrested. Ayebale said her husband was then brought home, where police officers took People Power branded t-shirts, some jackets and red berets. She said they then left and took her husband, and she still doesn't know where he is or even if he's alive. Ayebale said one of the arresting officers gave her a number she could call if she wanted to know where her husband was being taken. When she called, however, the officer who answered then insulted her and warned her never to call the number again. National Inter-Platform officials report that more than 300 of their members countrywide remain missing. It is for this reason party president Robert Kyagulanyi, better known as Bobiwine, is petitioning the United Nations Human Rights Office in Kampala. He said it is painful that Ugandans have no local human rights institution that can come to their rescue. General Museveni feels like Uganda is his compound. Uganda is his property. He has the right to pick and kill anybody at his will. He has the right to torture anybody, to murder anybody, but we say he does not. And that is why we are petitioning the United Nations, Wine said. However, Museveni in a security address on Saturday said the alleged disappearances do not reflect the culture of the current regime or army leadership. According to Museveni, the heavy deployment ahead of the elections was because he heard of plans by some lawbreakers to disrupt the elections. And in the case of Kampala, we also brought a commando unit which had distinguished itself in fighting in Somalia and which had destroyed ADF, Allied Democratic Forces. It was deployed in the Kampala area, and this group quickly defeated the terrorists who had started operating here. They killed the few who had tried to attack them and arrested scores of those lawbreakers, Museveni said. Heavy security was deployed and roadblocks were set up on the route leading to the United Nations Human Rights Office in Kampala. 6 journalists sustained head injuries after being beaten by military police officers as they camped outside the offices. A UN human rights officer who requested anonymity when speaking to Voice of America said the office would not comment about the petition since the cases are confidential. So that was the statement, or that was the article from Voice of America. However, the last statement you see, which reads, a United Nations human rights officer who requested anonymity when speaking to Voice of America said the office would not comment about the petition since the cases were confidential. What I have to tell you, these guys received the petition and you saw their statement. I don't know whether I can get it. Let me see if I can get it very quickly. They came out and acknowledged that, yeah, they received the petition from Kyagulanyi Sentamu. Yeah, here it is. It says, of course, it's press release. United Nations receives National Unity Platform petition on alleged human rights violations. Kampala, 17th February 2021. The United Nations in Uganda confirms that today, the leader of the National Unity Platform, NUP, Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi, accompanied by 5 party officials, handed over a petition on alleged human rights violations that marred the electoral process to the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights Representative in Uganda, Mr. Robert Kochan, at his office in Kampala. In accordance with the established procedures, office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights will immediately study these allegations and take the appropriate actions. The United Nations Resident Coordinator will share copies of this petition with the host government and the United Nations headquarters. The United Nations in Uganda wishes to recognize that the Uganda Police Force, Very Important Persons Protection Unit, VVPU, abided by established procedures which enabled the NUP leadership to have a peaceful meeting at the Office of High Commissioner, that is OHCHR office in Kampala. The United Nations in Uganda wishes to deplore that prior to the meeting, members of the Uganda Military Police used excessive force to prevent a number of persons accompanying the NUP delegation from accessing the offices, the UN offices. This behavior contravenes the agreement which the government of Uganda regarding the safety and security of UN premises, personnel and guests, as well as national and international commitments. The Republic of Uganda is a member of the United Nations and has conveyed in the past its commitment to peace, justice, human rights, and development. The UN calls on the government to immediately investigate this incident and ensure that those responsible are brought to justice. So yes, this was the statement from United Nations Uganda, confirming that yes, they received the petition, and as well highlighting the brutality meted that, you know, the team that had accompanied Kyagulanyi, the journalists, and of course what you saw yesterday. You know, this lady from Kalangala, what's her name? I'm forgetting the name. Woman MP, Kalangala district. That is Nachimuli Helen. Man, omwala bamu. I can't even imagine what she's going through now. But anyway, that's how and that's where we are. Just know that maybe the statement from the United Nations forced these guys to maybe do some investigation and, you know, paraded some few military officers. Of course, we don't know even whether they are the ones who, you know, participated in the brutality. They paraded them today, you saw them. But of course, you know, that was just for pictorial purposes. No one is going to be arrested, no one is going to be jailed, no one is going to face the law. Because if it was the case, we should have seen that way back from the time Yasini Kauma was, you know, murdered in cold blood. But up to now, the person who did it is still, you know, enjoying. Ereru, that guy who led the Kasese massacre, over 150 innocent lives were lost. But up to now, he's still, you know, enjoying oxygen the way he wants, being, you know, elevated from one position to another. So seeing all that kind of a thing and the act that was done today, don't expect any justice, man. All we need to do is to get rid of this dictatorship and bring in a fresh breed of leaders who live in the present, because fact of the matter, Museveni and his team still have that 1986 mentality. All they know is to shoot people, fire tear gas, fire live bullets. Anyhow, that's why Museveni can, you know, say it loud that we are terrorists. Can you imagine? Now, like that young girl, Nachimuli, she's just having her handbag, maybe her smartphone, but the way she was beaten, man, the way she was beaten, you can't even imagine. Mwenzo gamba yabade ne zi AK-47 mu handbag eyo banga inamu bomu banga inamu chi, that kind of a thing. So embeera bwete webadde bwekyali era bweri. Kyolina okumanya omukulembeze bw'ati bw'agambye nti abantu abamu bakola ebikolobero naye ate abalala ne ba answering for those bikolobero. Kye tulina okukola kiri kimu, is to step on our fears and say enough is enough. Awatali ekyo bino tebigenda kukoma. Abeesunga parliament olwokuba bafunye ebifo, that parliament is important. Teyina kyesobola kukola nga abasajja bano bwe bakyali mu buyinza. Yadde neki na kimu teyina kyesobola kukola. Wodda ku bitongole ebirala ebitali independent tebigenda kufuuka independent. Those institutions are not going to be independent at any one point unless we change leadership from the top. Netujjanga tubakola ki? Tutemako ebintu ebyo nabyo ebitakola bulungi. Awatali ekyo tewana kimu kigenda kukyuka. So guys, that's what I had for you. I just want you to have a wonderful time. Peace and love.